Hi everyone, it's TJ90 here. Welcome back to another episode of I Test Your Tactics. We've got another one straight out of Jake Cooper's Discord server. This time it's Mr. King Jess, and we've got a very attacking tactic, a sort of classic 4-2-3-1, but with a few different roles that we don't always might not always associate with this particular tactic. So you know what? Let's just get straight into it and let's have a look at the teams we're using. Now, before we have a proper look at the teams we're using and the tactic, if you could all do me a massive favour, everyone, hit the like button, leave a subscribe, ring that notification bell. Let's keep these going. I really enjoy doing them. So yeah, as I mentioned before, if you've got any tactics you want me to test, drop me a message. My Twitter link is down below, and the link to Jake Cooper's Discord, where you can find me under TJ90, is also there as well. So you'll see that we are currently using Man UFC. This is post the latest update. So I haven't done the real name fix yet. There were two teams that King Jess, his username that is, asked us to use. That was Man U and Man City. We added in a few other teams because a two-team tactics test is a bit of a waste of time, really. Doesn't really tell you the efficacy of the tactic unless you test it over a few more teams. As you know, if you've seen any of the latest tactics tests we've done, then we always use Spurs, because the previous three we've done, we've been sacked, so it's only fair that we put Spurs to the test with every tactic that we test. So let's get into the tactics. So you'll see it's generally quite an attacking one. You've got a sweeper keeper on attack who's obviously going to occupy this sort of space here, when out of possession or in possession potentially as well. A wing back on support, and then a complete wing back on attack. Two normal central defenders, which you've got a shorter passing instruction in possession. Should probably work, to be fair, quite well with two central defenders. Their inclination to try and play killer balls, long balls, might be a little bit less, might suit a more simple passing game as opposed to having like a ball playing defender. Then again, with having play out of defence, it's something that if you generally prefer a more possession orientated tactic, you might want to switch one of these to at least a ball playing defender to make the most of that shorter passing and that play out of defence instruction. Two inside forwards, also an attack, and a shadow striker. So they're going to be really supporting the advanced forward, who obviously, with Man U, you're always going to pick Ronaldo. And then a box-to-box midfielder and a ball-winning midfielder. Now, here for United, we have literally just put Ronaldo and Fernandes in. I think playing Fernandes as the number 10 as the shadow striker is the most logical selection there. Pogba will probably be someone who would fill in on the BBM. Sancho and Rashford on the inside forward roles. Potentially someone like Dallo on the wing-back and Luke Shaw on the complete wing-back. And I think really for United, I think that's the two roles the two players that we picked, I think are the main two that you want to have in the team. See what sort of numbers Bruno and Ronaldo can get, but the rest will let the assistant just rotate around. So the other team that we had that King Jess asked us to use was Man City. So we have gone with these ones, Jesus and Edison, the two players that we've picked. There's a real embarrassment of riches to fill in at that number 10 spot there, and the two wings. You've got your De Bruyne's, you've got your Sterling's, Grealish, Foden, Cole Palmer, Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. Any one of those players can play in realistically in any one of those positions. Even De Bruyne could probably still do a job as an inside forward. Maybe not the most natural for it, but he could still do that sort of job. And then you're looking at likes of Gundogan, Rodri to be playing in this midfield role, Fernandinho, etc. In terms of in transition, taking short kicks, for someone like Edison, to be fair, a long kicking game would probably be just as beneficial if you wanted to get the ball forward more quickly, on the counter, because you are countering. You'd probably change to, take long kicks to really make the most of Edison's passing ability. He's got kicking of 20, so playing short kicks would probably be wasting that ability, but it's a simple change. Change it to play it long, and you could just change your passing, in possession. You'd leave that on your play out of defence, to be fair. You'd maybe put like a Rui Diaz in it, or John Stones, maybe with the ball playing defender role, as we discussed previously. And then out of possession, it's a much higher defensive line. It's basically very much designed to try and keep the opposition penned in that half, either in possession or when out of possession. I will put the tactic in a link to download the tactic down below. But as you can see, these are the sort of instructions we're dealing with. Pass into space, play out defence, shorter passing, high tempo, run at defence and be more expressive. It's geared towards like an elite team. Counter press, counter, take your short kicks as discussed. If you were wanting to make the most of someone like Edison, as we've touched on, as we already said, you'd probably go take long kicks and maybe distribute it quickly. Especially if you're already playing quite a high line, you should really be able to find someone like a Jesus or one of your inside forwards quite comfortably. And they'll have good anticipation, so they should be sort of ready to read that situation and hopefully pick up the ball. And then out of possession, again, high lines, as much pressing as you can, and preventing the goalkeeper distribution. Quite a narrow setup. Probably looking to make the most of having your inside forwards potentially tucking in a little bit more when out of possession, so that when you counter, they're already in the place you want them to be. And then the other teams we went with Roma, and we really stipulated a few roles here. So Rui Patricio, Zaniolo, Pellegrini, and Tammy Abraham, and the rest, Jordan Veretout, he might play as the BBM. And you might have Amadou Diarra or Brian Cristante playing as the ball-winning midfielder. Your wing-backs will be the likes of Karsdorp, Santon, Spinazzola when he is fit. Obviously, he did his cruciates at the Euros. And then defenders, they've got Ibanez, Chris Smalling, Gianluca Mancini, and Marash Kambula. So we'll just let them be rotated to keep them fit. In terms of inside forwards, you're looking at either a Mkhitaryan, an El Shaarawy, or a Carles Perez. Eldor Shomurodov and Felix Afena-Gyan. They are young, and I think if you're doing this ordinary... Oh, actually, Shomurodov is a lot older than I thought he was. I didn't realise he was 26. But they will rotate in and around for Abraham should he be unavailable. Spurs, as usual, everyone, our team. Might seem a bit strange having 3 Prem teams, but the 2 Prem teams that we've used were stipulated, and then obviously we always use Spurs now. Reguilon, natural as the complete wing back on attack. Son as the inside forward with Kulusevski on the other side. Harry Kane, obviously. And we thought we'd try Lucas Moura as the shadow striker over someone like a Bergwijn. We'd expect maybe someone like Højbjerg and Bentancur to occupy those 2 midfield slots. Harry Winks and Oliver Skip probably coming in on rotation. To be fair, Oliver Skip is probably the person that the AI will naturally pick to play as that BWM. The AI seems to love Oliver Skip, I find, sometimes. So I would be expecting him to potentially get quite high game numbers, even though Højbjerg and Bentancur are probably the more stronger ball-winning midfielders just because they're a little bit more experienced. Then we went with Anderlecht. We used them last time out. We kind of failed at getting them back up towards the top. Winning the Jupiler Pro League, and we've literally just left two players in, and that is for Bruggen, who's a young keeper. He is not the on paper best keeper, but he's only 18, so I want to see how he develops. And then Gomez, you may remember in the last tactics test we did with Anderlecht, which I think was the mix and won the 5-3-2. Sergio Gomez had unreal assist numbers because he's just so good. He's got great crossing, incredible, attributes there. Real danger from set pieces as well. So I'm expecting him just to feed it round to the advanced forward, whether that's Joshua Zirkzee, Benito Raman, Christian Kouame, or Mario Stroikens. But they have a lot of players who can play anywhere across those 3 roles, like your Anwar Ait El Hajj, Carl Asim, Visharin, etc. can all play in and around there. So I'd expect the assistant just to rotate them quite nicely. We picked Bordeaux, a bit of a maybe left field choice. The reason being that in real life they're having really quite a poor season. It's a bit of a soap opera, really. They are flirting with going down. Lauren Koscielny has just retired over allegations around racism, I believe. He's denied them, obviously, but he has retired, and I think he's been kind of frozen out of Bordeaux, and I think he's kind of just decided enough is enough. And then Niang, who you may remember back from the days of FM16 and 17 when he was at AC Milan. We're going to play him as the advanced forward with Yassine Adli playing as the shadow striker. I had him with my Le Havre team on FM21 and he was really good. But I just don't think he really suits playing as a BBM or a BWM because his defensive stats, positioning, marking, tackling are pretty poor. So I just want him to be sitting in that number 10 spot and just trying to create as much of a goal threat as possible. Hwang Hwang Ui-jo, 28. He looks like probably the best inside forward on that left-hand side that we've got, especially with those long shots, and maybe not cut inside and just smash it in. And then we'll be looking at the likes of Remy Udan and Javiro Dilrosun to be playing in that inside forward role on the right, and we'll just let the assistant rotate that around. And then we've gone with the young defenders, Timothy Pembele, who's on loan from PSG. Sorry, that might be Timotei Pembele. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. And then the legend that is Anel Akhmatovic playing on the other side of the defence. A lot of their team, like their other defenders, are quite old. They've got Marcelo, Edison Mexa, all mid-30s. Same with Jimmy Briand. So yeah, that's why we're playing, trying to blood us, the young defenders really over the others. And the same is the case in AZ Alkmaar. They have quite a young team anyway, but we have really gone for the likes of Poku and Hakon Evian. Poku's only 17. Attributes wise, he's not great, but I want him to play week in, week out in that role, and hopefully, we can sort of use it to see how he develops. I know Jake Cooper did for FM Scout on the Wonder Kid to Super Kid series, and that he seemed to do really, really well. Come really, really good, develop really, really nicely. So we'll use that just to see how he develops in this system. And then Hakon, he's playing on the left-hand side. He's only 21. It'll be interesting to see what sort of numbers he gets. And the other one we just gone is Owen Windal on the left-hand side. Again, they've got quite a few good options who can play either as a number 10 or as a striker. Quite a lot of versatility there, and same in the midfield. So again, we'll just let the assistant pick that. The other team that I skipped over just to keep on the line of the youth is Gladbach, so we'll go back to them. We've picked a bit more of a team here that we would like to see play, to see how it does. So Luca Netz, obviously, he is a wonder kid left back, 18 years old. I would expect him to do really, really well in that complete wing back role. Matthias Ginter, the only real defender that I'm bothered about playing regularly, because he is a very, very good defender. Maybe not as good as some of the other defenders in the division, but in Gladbach he is probably one of the more standouts, alongside maybe someone like an Elvedi who can play on the right, or even like a Marvin Friedrich. Reason we went with Ginter over someone like a Janschke is just because Janschke, he's only 31, but we want to be, you'd want to see how the youth can cope with this sort of system, or the younger players anyway. And then we're going with Mbolo, who will play when he's back from injury. He's not really a natural inside forward. He's more right-footed, but I would just hope he's going to tuck in the side along Alassane Play and hopefully create a goal threat alongside Thuram and Florian Neuhaus. And then the last thing we picked was Villarreal. Again, just someone a little bit left field, just to see how they do in breaking in, see if we can get them to break into the Champions League ultimately. Obviously, they've just dumped out Juventus. They won the Europa League last season under Unai Emery, so just be interesting to see how well they can kick on, and if this tactic gets them into that top 4 spot. We only really stipulated a few roles again: Rulli, Torres, Pino, Chukwueze and Moreno. I could have easily gone with someone like an Arno Danjuma, but I wanted to go with Pino just because he's only like 18, so I want to keep an eye on his development really. And the rest we'll just let fill in, like Lo Celso, he might play as a number 10 or as a BBM, Trigueros, Parejo, etc. And they've also got Capu and Coquelin. And then in terms of fullbacks, they've got a few decent choices. They've got Sergio Aurier, Moreno and Pedraza, who could probably do a job in the fullback roles quite comfortably. And then, I'll just let the assistant pick the defensive partner for Pau Torres. But, he is such a good defender. He's probably one of the better defenders in the division. So it makes sense to make sure that he gets played. What we're going to do now, if you're new to this sort of series, is we're now just going to sim it for the next 12 months and see how we get on. And obviously the big test, if this is a success, it will be that we are still in a job with Tottenham come the end of the season. I'll see you on the other side, everyone. Well, everyone, the results are in, and there is a very, very big surprise. That's right, everyone, there's only one place to start, and that is with Tottenham Hotspur, where we didn't get sacked. In fact, Spurs came second behind champions Man City, only 3 points behind, and Man U came fourth, quite the way off the pace, even quite a way off Liverpool, but quite comfortably clear of Chelsea. Looking at some of the stats already here, Harry Kane, 80 goals, Heung-min Son, 34 assists. Unbelievable. Let's see let's have a look at the other competitions first. They won the Conference League, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup. Spurs doing an absolute... Oh, sorry, they came second in the Conference League. Who did they lose to? Harry Kane getting 24 goals in that competition. They lost on penalties to Feyenoord. That is unlucky. Also interesting to see Pellegrini, Abraham and Zaniolo also getting quite high up there in the numbers. Obviously, they were with Roma, who is the other team, one of the other teams we've got. But yeah, winning the FA Cup and the Carabao. Who did they beat in the FA? Liverpool, love to see it, 2-1. And then who did they beat in the Carabao? Please tell me it was Liverpool again. Man City. So they beat Man City. Harry Kane leading the way in the goals and Heung-min Son leading the way in the assists. In terms of the Premier Division, who was the top scorer? Harry Kane, 42 goals. Jack Grealish and Heung-min Son sharing the assists there, with David De Gea and Hugo Lloris coming second and third, respectively, in the clean sheets. Everton, came bottom. Hate to see that. Let's have a look at some of the numbers for Spurs. We've got Harry Kane on 80 goals and 13 assists in 66 games. Heung-min Son with 20 and 34. Kulusevski with 19 and 15. Sanchez weighing in with a few goals. Lucas Moura in the number 10 getting 9 goals, 14 assists. Bergwijn weighing in with a few. What's that? 21 goal contributions from only 6 starts. That is not bad at all. Romero doing quite well. Sessegnon doing really well off the bench. Didn't start a game, but still managed to get 9 goal contributions. Winks, Skip, Højbjerg, and let's see, who was the other one that we were looking at? Bentancur. So it looks like Bentancur and Højbjerg probably just about edged it in the defensive roles, but Skip weighed in with a fair few appearances as well. And then we had Reguilon getting 10 assists. Really, that's a class season for Spurs. That unbelievable. 2 trophies and second place. Wow. Let's look at Man City, who are the champions. So what did they achieve? They came runners-up in the Champions League. Let's see. They lost to PSG. That is unfortunate, but also not massively surprising. Gabriel Jesus only getting the 18 goals. Let's see. Who else. So he got 25 goals and 4 assists. De Bruyne. Wow. De Bruyne weighing in with a tasty sum there. I wonder if he played as a number 10. Sterling, Silva, Grealish, Mahrez, all doing really, really well. Ruben Diaz with 10 goals. Phil Foden with 11 assists. Some great numbers from some of these players. Cancelo getting 10 assists. Rodri from midfield getting 7 assists, 2 goals. He probably ended up playing as the BWM, the ball winning midfielder. That's really good. Some really good numbers. I expected Jesus to do better, but then he was helped out massively by the rest of the midfield. But it looks like they only won the Prem, which for City is probably a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest with you. As we know, Spurs beat them in the Carabao Cup and they knocked them out of the FA Cup. Coming second in the Champions League is not too bad going, though, to be fair. But yeah, Spurs pushing them all away in the league. And we look at the other Prem team, Man U, as we saw, they came 4th. What else did they do? Knocked out by Bruges in the Champions League. Knocked out by Blackburn in the Carabao, by Arsenal in the FA Cup. Wow, that's really quite appalling from Man U there. Like that is quite a disappointing season for them. Top goal scorer in the league was Rashford. It doesn't look like Ronaldo did much then in that regard. Wow, that's a really poor return from Ronaldo in that advanced forward role. 22 goals. Well, 22 goal contributions, sorry. Doesn't look like he played every game. He must have had an injury, but he still played 38 games, so it can't have been that bad. Rashford, what did he injure? Sprained ankle ligaments at the end of the season. But he looks like he maybe missed a few, or maybe he just got rotated out. But quite poor goal scoring numbers from the United players. With only Rashford getting 18 goals leading the way. Pogba with 7. Bruno didn't really do great in the shadow striker role. 26 goal contributions is okay, but I would have expected him to have done more. Where did Jadon Sancho come? 9 assists, not terrible. Looks like Dalot and Shaw were probably the go-to fullbacks, with Varane and Maguire being the mainstays at the back. McTominay getting a few games. What about the likes of Wan-Bissaka? Didn't really play, neither did Telej, and Fred played a fair bit as well. Roma, on the other hand, had a really decent season. Semi-finalists in the Conference League, where they were knocked out by Spurs. They won the Coppa Italia, and they came fourth in the league. So they got back in the Champions League, which was really good. In the Cup, they beat Lazio, beat their rivals Lazio in the final. That is a very good season for Roma, I would say. Cup and Champions League football. They will be happy with that. Was Tammy the top goal scorer in the league? Yes, he was, by 2 ahead of Immobile. And then obviously, we saw him and Pellegrini were leading the way in the Conference League. Let's just see, just out of interest, what sort of goal numbers this got for them. 79 goals for, so not the highest scoring team in the league. Was it Lazio? Yeah, Lazio were the highest scoring team in the league, but still really solid numbers. Obviously, as we saw, Tammy looks like he got a fair few. 54 and 7 assists. Zaniolo did really, really well, as did Pellegrini. We had El Shaarawy weighing in with quite a few. 14 goal contributions in I would say, these are 33 sub appearances. That could have literally been 10 minutes at the end of the game, for example. Mkhitaryan did really well. Carlos Perez, he did even better. He got the same as Mkhitaryan with much less game time. Ibanez did really, really well. Shimuradov did well in a very few appearances. Veretout got 16 assists. Karsdorp with 11. Maitland-Niles did well, 7 assists. Not bad. So it looks like Diarra wasn't used as the ball-winning midfielder. Was it must have been Cristante, and then Veretout as the ball box-to-box. Smalling played a fair few games. Mancini. Some really, really good numbers. I mean, Tammy Abraham getting 54 goals in all comps is incredible. Let's go to Anderlecht, who won the league. They won the league. They got knocked out in the group stage of the Conference League and didn't win the cup. Who did win the cup? Genk. But they did win the league, which is massive for them because they haven't won it for about 4 seasons. So that's really, really, really good going. In terms of the actual, before the split, where were they sat? So I think they were sat top anyway. They were already sat top, so they just built on that in the playoff round. Let's see what sort of numbers they got. Now, individually, the numbers themselves aren't actually that high. Considering we won the league, I would really have expected at least one striker to have broken 20. Xerxes was the leading scorer on 17 goals. Michel Vlap is actually away on loan, so we can discount him. And the next top scorer is Christian Kwame with 12 goals. Benito Raman with 12. Francis Amuzu with 10. Sergio Gomez, probably the most potent player in the team with 9 goals and 13 assists. Bear in mind that was as a complete wing back. Some of his goals may well have been free kicks, to be fair. He's wanted by some of the elite clubs. He's wanted by Barcelona and Dortmund. They want to bring him back to the club. Oh yeah, Zebre, obviously, because like I said, we haven't installed the real squad name fix, the real team fix for this update for the purpose of this simulation yet. Maybe we just conceded not very many goals. I noticed that Kuzemans ended up playing in goal, as did Krombrugge. I don't know what happened to Verbruggen. He did have an injury, but he doesn't seem to have. That was back in April, so whether he was just really unlucky and just kept picking up a raft of injuries. It won't be... Oh, injuries, let's see. No, he pulled an abdominal muscle in September, so why didn't he play? That's what I want to know. Maybe for some reason he didn't get registered. I'm not sure. I'd find that very strange. I don't think he would have needed to have been registered, seeming as he was so young. So yeah, let's see then. Did we just concede very few goals? Is that what happened? So in the league, we conceded 22. So we conceded the least number of goals. But we scored 57. And then in the championship group, we conceded a further 2? Further 5 goals in the championship group. So maybe that's why we just had such a superior goal difference potentially. And now we move on to Bordeaux. Not much to sort of sing about really in terms of the cup. Knocked out in the 9th round. Now I believe there's multiple rounds in the French Cup. But they did come ninth in the league, which when you think in real life they are fighting against relegation, to actually come ninth with this team is probably very good going. The board expectation was a top half finish, which they achieved. I noticed they did finish on a 3, what was that? Lost to Nantes, lost to Nice, and lost to Angers before beating Lorient 3-1. For the time, they were sort of flirting around 5th, 6th, 7th, and then they just tapered off. What was the squad performances like, though? In terms of numbers, Josh Maja, he's out on loan, so discount him. Filter for not at the club. So then we look at Hwang Wee-jo getting 13 goals and 3 assists. Javaro Dilrosun getting 10 and 2. How did Adley do? He got 3 and 5 in that shadow striker role. Not great. Bayern Yang did pretty terrible in that advanced forward role, to be honest with you. Timothy Pembele getting 7 assists. Not bad. And who was the other? How did Ahmed Hodzic do? 3 goals. Ahmed Hodzic from centre-half scored the same number of goals as Yassine Adley, who's playing as a shadow striker. That's the level of underachievement Yassine Adley had for that season. But yeah, I know we haven't looked much at numbers for some of the other teams, but it's some of these slightly, not lesser teams, the likes of the lower reputation teams. I'm interested to see how they did in terms of numbers. So not a massively big scoring season, 48 goals and 39 conceded. What sort of results did we get with Bordeaux? Did we beat any of the big guns? Beat Nice away. That's not a bad result. Lost at home to PSG 2-0. Drew in Monaco away. Let's see what else. Lost to Lyon. Drew with Marseille. Beat Rennes away. That's not a bad result. Lost away to PSG. Lost to Lille. Lost to Lyon again. So, you know what? I think this is, to be fair, looking at it, with a Bordeaux team that were, widely expected to... I mean, the board expectation was top half. And maybe real life is not a fair reflection on the squad they have. But you definitely have plenty to build on. Let's go on to Gladbach, who I'm pretty sure I saw did really well. They came 3rd. So back into the Champions League for Gladbach. Bayern obviously won 98 points. Did they just not lose at all? Bayern Munich won 32 and drew 2 games. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, respect. Gladbach, did they win anything? They came 2nd, runners-up in the Pokal. That's not bad going, to be fair. Who did they lose to? It was probably Munich or someone like that, wasn't it? Yeah, lost on extra time to Bayern Munich. No shame there, really. In terms of individual performances, Thuram had a great season on that inside forward role. Play had a decent season near the advanced forward. Briolambolo did quite well, considering he's not really a natural inside forward on that right-hand side. It doesn't really suit him. He did really well. Florian Neuhaus did decently. Friedrich did okay. Hermann did well off the bench. Stindl. Jonas Hoffmann coming off the bench did really... actually, no, sorry. He must have just started over someone. I wonder who he started over out of the front 4. But either way, maybe they played him in midfield. 16 assists is incredible for him. Elvedi with 7 assists. I wonder if he played as the right back. Luca Netz with the 6 assists. How did he develop? Okay, reasonably. He's still young. He's got plenty ahead of him. Ginter, he was probably leaving. Where's he going? He's going to Benfica. Laszlo Benes. How did he do? He's got fairly decent stats, him. He could be, if you're looking for someone who's going to deliver a good set piece, could be worth a look at. Remy Bensebaini did okay, 3 assists. But yeah, Gladbach getting back into the Champions League is a great result. How did AZ do? AZ Alkmaar. So they came 7th. They were 6 points off 4th. Not terrible. Jesper Karlsson leading the way in the goals. Competition-wise, who did what? Didn't do very well in the Cups. Not well at all. Did get knocked out by Feyenoord in their KMVB. Again, not got the full name fixes on these. In terms of the squad, how did the likes of Poku do? So yeah, Jesper Karlsson was obviously picked as the striker. With, I'm guessing, some of these guys, Pavlidis and Danny De Vit, being rotated in and around. Hakon Evian did okay. How did Poku do? So Poku ended up not really playing much at all, even though I wanted him to, and as a result, he didn't really develop. But that's quite annoying. Why was he not playing? How did Vindal do? Developing quite nicely. I wonder why some of these players didn't play. I always use tactics and use the lineup. So I wonder why that wasn't the case. Jesper Karlsson getting 20 goals and 16 assists is really, really good. He must have been used as the advanced forward. He is now wanted as well, who by some elite clubs again. Obviously had a very standout season. Slight tapering off in his attributes though, and you know what, he's valued quite well, like quite reasonably so. So you know, a guy who can get you 36 goals using this tactic, it could be a good advanced forward as well if you're looking for one. And then Villarreal, how did these guys do? They came third, only 8 points off Real Madrid. Really, really good foundation to build on there for Villarreal. That's cracking. How did they do elsewhere? They won the Super Cup. They beat Chelsea. They got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League by Liverpool. Knocked out in the semis of the Copa del Rey by Real Madrid. You know what? To beat Chelsea in the Super Cup is really, really good going. Let's have a look at the individual performances. Gerard Moreno, 44 goals as the advanced forward. Yeremy Pino getting 16 goals and 8 assists. How did he develop? Really quite nicely. Chukwueze getting 23 goal contributions. That's fantastic. Moy Gomez, I wonder if he played as the shadow striker. Lo Celso doing well. Danny Parejo doing well. Pau Torres doing well. Arnaud Danjuma having a decent season. Any other youngsters that we'd be interested in, seeing how they did. Trigueros did okay. He's not a youngster, but he got 10 assists. Aurier, yeah. Alfonso Pedraza must have been used as the complete wing-back on the left-hand side, getting 13 assists. In terms of the actual division then, how did Moreno shape up? Moreno was the leading goal scorer for the division. That's really good going. Really, really good going. Yeah, this tactic, obviously, aside from the fact that it did well with Spurs, has really got really good merits going forward for anyone who wants to use it. Yeah, the link will be in the description. Well, everyone, what a set of results that was from this tactic. I mean, to be fair, I think the fact that we didn't get sacked by Spurs tells you everything you need to know. And not only that, Spurs ended their long-awaited drought for a trophy with not just one, but 2 domestic trophies, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. And they also came second in the league. They got the trophy for pushing City right till the end. So well done, Spurs. Harry Kane getting 18 goals. Massive respect on that one. Some I don't know, debatable outcomes with some teams that we would have expected to have done better, and with certain individuals we would have expected to have done better, you know, particularly looking at the likes of, you know, with Man U, with Ronaldo not even breaking 20 goals for the season, and AZ, I probably would have expected them to have done a little bit better, but, you know, maybe, like I said, there seemed to be some sort of issue with who actually played in that. Obviously Anderlecht won the league, first time they've won the league in about 4 years, and Villarreal doing really, really well, you know, having a really good season, building on what they achieved last season and winning the Europa League, and, you know, you're back in the Champions League, you know, only 7 points behind Real Madrid. I think this tactic, if you develop players well, so with someone like Villarreal, bringing through the likes of Yeremy Pino, keeping Gerard Moreno, who obviously is just going to bang the goals in that advanced forward role, Samu Chukwueze continue to develop. I think if you just add, you know, a bit of quality maybe in that number 10 role, weigh in some goals from the shadow striker, you know, you could definitely challenge the top clubs with this. Obviously getting through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, also really, really good. You know, it seems to lend itself, you know, it's an attacking football tactic, and it lends itself to a team with incredible attacking players. Look at Man City, you know, okay, they lost to PSG in the final, but, you know, it looks class. Let's be honest, it looks class. Yeah, I think, you know, you recruit well. I'm not sure it's necessarily a tactic that you can necessarily just plug in and play straight away with certain teams, you know, in more competitive leagues and more competitive situations. Like, look at Man City. Yeah, they won the league, only 3 points clear of Spurs, and they lost in the Champions League final. You look at Anderlecht, where, no disrespect to the Jupiler Pro League, you know, the quality is a little bit more centralized, you know, across a few teams. Whereas obviously in the Prem, as we know, on their day, anyone can beat anyone. So, you know, you have to recruit well, and I think, you know, a bit more involvement rather than just a straight simulation. You probably see yourself get more favourable results, and I think you probably see City maybe win the Champions League if you're a bit more involved. But yeah, great tactic, passes the test, because at the end of the day, we didn't get sacked by Spurs. Take care, everyone. I've been TJ90. If you want me to do this with your tactic, send it to me. I'll do it.